Well, as I mentioned at the beginning of Mass, today marks the beginning of Catholic Schools Week, the annual celebration of the important ministry taking place in our Catholic schools. The Catholic school has been an important ministry of our parish for 105 years. First as St. Mary of the Lake School, and now with our support of Frassati Catholic Academy. This year, Frassati has 225 children in grades K through 8 and more in the preschool. The mission of Frassati, like the mission of any Catholic school, is to educate and form young people to be faithful disciples of the Lord and to be good and generous citizens. Frassati will have an open house on Tuesday night at the Parish Life Center, which is the location of Frassati. I invite all families with school-aged children to attend the open house, meet the staff, tour the school, and learn about the really good things happening in our Catholic school. On Thursday night, Frassati will host a spaghetti dinner at the Life Center. I encourage all parishioners to support our school by attending the dinner. I ask everyone to pray for our Catholic school, and I invite those who are able, especially those who have benefited from a Catholic school education, to consider a financial gift to support the mission of our Catholic school. You can find more information on Frassati by visiting the school's website or just asking one of the children in their Frassati uniform. A Catholic school from Covington, Kentucky has been in the news for the past 9 days. Young people from Covington attended the March for Life in Washington, D.C. on January 18th, joining hundreds of thousands of people to mark the Supreme Court's decision of 1973 that legalized abortion in the United States. Covington has been going there for 10 years. At the conclusion of the March for Life and after some sightseeing in our nation's capital, the Covington students began gathering near the Lincoln Mall as planned to catch their bus home. Early video showed Covington students with a gentleman named Nathan Phillips, a Native American elder who was participating in the first Indigenous Peoples March, drawing attention to the injustices against Indigenous people. Mr. Phillips is seen chanting and beating a drum in front of Nick Sandman, a junior, 17 years old, from Covington. Sandman, wearing a Make America Great hat, looks at Mr. Phillips. He doesn't say anything or do anything. He just looks at him. The clip went viral. Mr. Phillips, the Native American, was interviewed and alleged that the students had surrounded him and blocked his movement. Media commentators, both political or both conservative and liberal, they went nuts, right? Condemning the students, especially Mr. Sandman. One commentator said that Sandman's face looked punchable. Nice. Howard Dean, a former governor of Vermont and candidate for the presidency, said that Covington Catholic School appeared to be a hate factory that needed to be closed. People were encouraged to dox the kids. I learned what dox means. It means you look up their home address, you find out where their parents work, and then you just start harassing them. The children received death threats. The school had to be closed for a day because of security concerns, and the families of children, the families of the students were indeed harassed. The Covington High School and the Bishop of the Diocese of Covington issued a joint statement the next day, January 19th, condemning the students' actions and apologizing to Mr. Phillips, the Native American. The statement claimed that the students' behavior was in opposition to the Church's clear teaching on the dignity and respect of the human person and tainted the entire witness for the March of Life. The statement promised an investigation and appropriate action against the students up to and including expulsion. At least 2 other bishops joined their brother bishop condemning the activity of the students. Well, over the next 2 days, additional video of the incident appeared. And what do you know? It would appear that the Covington students were not the antagonists of hate, but the targets of it. that the whole narrative being reported was false. Some of the commentators who had condemned the students started eating their words and deleting their original tweets. In an understatement, one retraction said, "It is clear from new footage and additional accounts that there is more to this story than the original video captured." The extended footage and the statements of the students revealed that there was another group at the Lincoln Memorial that day, a group called the Black Hebrew Israelites. They were yelling and screaming vile things at the Native Americans an hour before the Covington students even arrived at the memorial. And when the kids did start showing up, members of the Black Hebrew Israelites alternated their hateful speech between the Native Americans and the kids from Covington. And when the whole group of Covington students were finally assembled at their prearranged spot, more vile names, horrible language were directed at the students. The students, with the permission of their adult chaperones, started doing school spirit chants to counter and drown out the hateful things that were being shouted at their group. Then, contrary to what Mr. Phillips had originally said about the students surrounding him, the video clearly shows Phillips walking into the middle of the group of the students, along with at least one other person, singing and beating his drum inches from Sandman. In other words, Mr. Phillips had confronted the students, not the other way around. Since learning more about the story, and I've read a lot about the accounts, I've watched a lot of video, I've been thinking about how I, at age 17, would have responded had I been in an unfamiliar city, tired after walking all day in support of life, with one set of strangers yelling vile things at my friends and me, and another stranger banging a drum just inches from my face. I've decided I would have cried. Probably cried. And certainly run away. I don't think I would have been as calm as Mr. Sandman. One of the chaperones of the students said that the situation provides a teachable moment, and I agree. A teachable moment mainly for adults. Beginning with those of us, including me, who saw that original picture and said, "This isn't good," who draw an immediate conclusion from that initial video. It's a teachable moment for those wise pundits and social commentators who jumped to the wrong conclusion based on the initial video and who, without further investigation, publicly judged and condemned the young people. And shame on those who called for violence against the children and their families and those who disparaged their school by calling the school a hate factory. The teachable moment is for the bishop and the principal of the school, who condemned the students without offering their students an opportunity to explain. The local bishop said that he had been bullied into making an immediate response. I'm sorry, but that is one of the lamest things I have ever heard a bishop say. The people bullied here were the students from Covington, it would appear, bullied by the Hebrew Israeli activists, by Phillips and his group, by commentators right and left, and most sadly, by their principal and their shepherd, the two people who should have had the courage to patiently wait to say anything until hearing from the young people entrusted to their care. Now, I'm not sure that all the boys are completely innocent in this incident. We will see what the investigation reveals. But let's suppose they acted stupidly. I'm glad they didn't have cameras when I was 16 and 17 years old. If they did act stupidly, we should expect their bishop to respond to them as Jesus did to sinners. Say, the adulterous woman. Jesus refused to be bullied by the frenzied crowd ready to stone her, but he took his time to respond. And in the end, even though the woman had sinned, and sinned grievously, Jesus did not condemn her, but taught her of God's mercy, and then sent her on her way with the call to sin no more. We are the body of Christ. St. Paul reminds us in our second reading, some parts of the body, he writes, need more care, more attention, are more fragile than other parts of the body. I would include our young people in that group. They are still very vulnerable, very impressionable. If we want them to believe that they are cherished members of the body of Christ, the church, and if we want them to stay part of the body of Christ, the church, well, then we shouldn't hack them off from the body when they mess up, or abandon them when they need our help, guidance, and protection. We, the older parts of the body, the adults, must teach them, offering them good example. Yes, we must hold our young people accountable for their conduct and correct them when necessary, but we must never appear to abandon them to the wolves. And to our young people, this is a teachable moment for you. Whether you attend Catholic school, public school, charter school, or are homeschooled, you are a member of Christ's body, the church. You are an important member of the body of Christ, and even now, have a role to play in the body, whose mission is to announce and to make present the good news of Jesus Christ and him raised from the dead. If you are living your faith, and I certainly challenge you to do that, you should expect to be challenged from time to time for your beliefs, mocked occasionally for your love of God, called names from time to time for loving your neighbor. It kind of comes with the territory. People may literally or figuratively bang a drum in your face because you are Catholic. Stand strong. Even if the adults around you fail you, you must stand for what is right and good. Stand with Christ, who promises to stand with you. Listen to what your peer, Mr. Sandman, had to say about his challenge. He said, "I'm a faithful Christian and practicing Catholic, and I always try to live up to the ideals my faith teaches me, to remain respectful of others, and to take no action that would lead to conflict or violence." May the words of young Mr. Sandman be the teaching lesson of the day.